Hey guys, John Lee Dumas here, founder and host of EO Fire, and you're listening to Bravepreneur Parents Academy with ldquo.
Welcome to Bravepreneur Parents Academy, where the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs reveal their most defining childhood moments and share their legacy for raising brave little heroes who will grow up to change the world. And now, he still reads comic books under the blanket at bedtime. Please welcome your host, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and self-confessed geek dad, Balaji O. You know, like the hotel in Vegas? Yeah, no, that's really his name. Balaji O.
Welcome to another edition of the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Today, I've got an amazing young man for you to meet. This guy right here actually lives in the same city as me, and I can't believe we only just met a few short months ago. I'm talking about Mr. Jamon Glover. Now, Jamon and I are members of the same Toastmasters chapter. We met in Toastmasters, and it has been a ball to watch this man grow in his speaking career. Jamon is an aspiring speaker, a husband, a father of four. He believes that everyone has something great to give, and he wants to help us realize our potential. So, I want you guys to sit back, strap in. This guy is not only an amazing, inspiring man for you, he's going to inspire you and inspire your kids as well. So without further ado, please help me welcome Mr. Jamon Glover. Welcome, Jamon.
Wow, now that is how you bring a guest on.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm great, and that was awesome, and I was looking for the standing ovation. I was like, where's the crowd? Where's the cheers? Wow, that was awesome.
We'll put that in editing, so you're good. Yeah. Awesome, man. Hey, listen, it is a pleasure and privilege to have you on the show. I've had the enjoyment of being able to hear some of your stories and some of your parables, for lack of a better term, but I want to share those with the parents that are online today. So first and foremost, let's talk about your family. How many kids do you have, and how old are they?
Okay, first I have 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys. My daughters are both 18. They're 8 months apart, so yeah, okay.
All right.
And my sons are 15 and 9.
Wow, fantastic. Now, my 2 sons are 8 and 5, so you know I have a lot to learn from Jamon. So I'm leaning in right now. I really want to get the goods from you. We're going to get all the good stuff today, Jamon. Jamon, why don't you start from the beginning? I mean, I want to get a better understanding of where you came from. What's your identity? Where did that identity come from?
Okay, for me, my first recognition of me wanting to be something came from my community pastor and my uncle. My community pastor was real big in giving and serving, and he stayed visiting sick people. He always gave the extra. And my uncle, he was a sanitation worker from out of New York. And when he would come down, he had, first off, New York's sanitation department is unionized. So in the 80s, he was making upwards of $50,000 in the 80s. Oh. So that's a lot of money for anybody, not to mention in the black community in a poor neighborhood where he came from. Yeah. Yeah. So when he came home, he had the Cadillac, he had the jewelry. And, you know, he came by, he gave all the kids money, and everybody just flocked to him. So I had my uncle on one hand and my pastor on the other hand, and they both were so respected, and they both was always giving. And that was my first thing that made me want to say, I want to serve, I want to give, I want to really impact people's lives the way they do.
That's fascinating, and I never would have thought. So you almost grew up, at least for some of the years of your childhood, I imagine, wanting to be a sanitation worker.
Yes.
Your uncle actually made that look good.
He made it look outstanding until I had to take the trash out every day of the summer, and I was like, maybe not.
Maybe you need a plan B.
Plan B. Just I didn't like getting my hands too dirty, so.
But I love the fact, though, that, I mean, that's one of the most unconventional areas in which one might expect to see a role model. And yet your uncle, not only was he making good money, quote unquote good money,
Yes.
but he was also a giver. So he brought a lot of respect to that position, which I really admire.
Yes, he did. And he was an uncle that, because he lived so far away, I'm in North Carolina, he's in New York. I didn't get a chance to see him, but maybe once, twice a year. So when he came down, it made a big impression upon me. Man, I want to be like my uncle.
Now, Jamon, you told a story not too long ago that you called Grandma's Butterflies and Storms.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought that was a fascinating title. I wanted to learn more. Why don't you tell us a little bit what Grandma's Butterflies and Storms have to do with Jamon Glover?
Okay. Butterflies, grandmas, and storms. And you see, I said it differently that time as well. Because all three words are very interchangeable, but they're very colorful words. And they show, for me anyway, how I grew up. The story starts with my birth, my mother and father being in a really severe automobile accident. And I came out with a birth defect. And it's kind of I won't say tragic story because everybody survived, but it changed me in a way that caused me to be ridiculed a lot by my peers. My cousins, the other kids in the community, they teased me because I wasn't really strong enough or fast enough to keep up because of my disability. And it was my grandmother who actually kind of watched me through the years. And one day when I was sitting on the porch with my head in my hands, kind of whining, asking, why me, Lord, why me? And she kind of steps and says, why not you? Everybody has their own cross to bear. Jesus had a cross to bear. Why not you? Then she basically started going into storms and talking about how the storms, they come to make you stronger. How storms build your integrity. They build your character. They give you strength. But more importantly, they give you experience. We all go through things that we go through for a reason. We may not know what it is right now. Like how many times in hindsight had you said, had I not been through that, I wouldn't have been able to do this or had the wisdom or courage to even make the right decision in today's time. Mm-hmm. And as fate would have it, both of my daughters, perfect births, but both of my sons were born with some issue. My oldest son, he was born with brachial plex because he was such a large baby that when he was being birthed, it strained the ligaments in his shoulder. And so for the next 3-4 months, nobody knew that he wasn't using his arm like as much as the other. We just thought he was going to be more right-handed. And so when he began to crawl, he couldn't balance himself because the arm was so weak. And when his bones began to really set and harden, his elbow was locked in a really awkward kind of position. And he lost full range of motion in it.
Wow.
And so we went through years of therapy and rehabilitation trying to get it right. And he has never had to ask himself, at least not to the extent that I did, why me? Because I was always there to encourage him and showing him. And then once he got to a place where he was starting to play sports, he couldn't do some of the things the other boys did. And so that's when I would show him the contrast between my disability or my birth defect. I won't call it disability, my birth defect, and how I was able to, win championships in wrestling, how I was a star athlete in football. I gave him the mindset that only thing can hold you back is your own mind. If you want it, you can get it. Just got to be willing to work a little extra for it. So for my youngest son, he was born as a preemie. He was born right at 5.5 months, right at 2 pounds.
Wow.
And so he was really small for most of his life. And the boy, he has the heart of a warrior. I guess when you start fighting that early, nothing else can stand in your way. I call him the baby. He the little monster of the family.
Wow.
He's like Braveheart around here.
My gosh.
So yeah, all of my grandmother's encouraging, all the storms, and then the butterfly. I told a story about a little kid who had a caterpillar in this little container, and he had a little stick in there and some leaves, and the caterpillar would kind of hang upside down and eat. And then one day he noticed that it was in a cocoon, and he was so excited because his mom said when he come out, he's going to be a big, beautiful butterfly. And so the little boy is watching every day. And this particular day, he sees that the shell is starting to break. And as the shell's breaking, he sees the head come out. He's like, oh, man, yes, it's about to be a butterfly. But he's struggling. And the little boy, he's just not coming out. So the little boy goes, grabs scissors, and he cuts the opening where his head is coming out just a little bit.
He's trying
to help him. And so the butterfly, it falls out. But his body is all swollen and his wings are shriveled and he's confused. So he goes to talk to his mom and say, Mom, what's wrong? I don't know what happened. And she said, oh, no, baby, you weren't supposed to help him. It's the struggle that forces the fluid from his body into his wings. And so it was when I first heard the story, I was like, wow. So that's why we go through. That's why we have to have the struggles, because we're all trying to get our wings. We're all trying to be beautiful butterflies in life. So that was the gist of the story that I told the other day.
Wow. That blows me away on so many levels. My gosh. So Jamon, let me take us back a little bit, because you just shared a lot, and I want to see if I can unpack some of this for our listener. This was amazing. So you were born with the birth defect. There was the car accident with your parents. Before you were born, I understand your mom was pregnant with you at the time?
Yes, she was 5 months pregnant with me.
She was 5 months pregnant in a car accident.
Yes.
You were born roughly 4 months later, and you were born with a birth defect. Now you alluded to the fact that you later on became an athlete, so I want to know, what kind of defect did you have?
My right side was smaller than my left side, and my right ankle in particular was particularly weak. So I would overcompensate a lot with my left, and so as I grew, the difference only got bigger. So when it came to running, I couldn't really run as fast because I had a really severe limp that I was running with. Yeah. Doing push-ups or whatever the thing required, I just wasn't as strong. So I would burn myself out on my left side trying to overcompensate for my right side. So it took me a lot of hours of running after practice because I wanted to be better. I didn't want to be the last guy in the last place. You know, when you're picking your teams, I don't want to be the guy you had to take because there wasn't nobody else to take.
So you practice running? I
practice running. Yep. I practice running. I practice doing push-ups. I practice doing sit-ups. I practice doing pull-ups.
You practice doing, so let me just clarify, because most of us, we might not be able to do as many push-ups as we would like, but we can do a push-up. We know how to do a push. You had to practice how to do push-ups?
Yes, because my left arm, I was almost in a sense kind of doing them one-armed.
Wow.
Because my right arm just wasn't strong enough to keep up. I could do like maybe 5 or 10 straight. But after a while, I started getting that little rock because my right arm just too weak. So I had to practice basically everything that people take for granted. I had to really work on. It didn't come natural for me.
I want to know what this does to a kid, Jamon. I mean, you talked about that pivotal moment when you were sitting on the porch, the kids were playing, you were frustrated because you couldn't do what the other kids were doing. And by the way, you gotta love kids. Your own cousins were the ones who were picking on you the most.
Yes. Yep.
Kids, man.
Yes, my nickname was Tiny Tim growing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. How did you handle that, though? I mean, that does a number. I'll ask the question from the perspective of a parent, especially in this day and age. Nobody wants their kid picked on. Nobody wants their kid picked last, right, in games, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But nobody wants their kids hurt, in a sense. But you had to endure that. How did you come out stronger mentally from that situation?
Well, I was angry, to say the least.
Really?
Because outside of that, and this is something that I really didn't share in the Toastmasters meeting, but there was some doubt as if I was my father's child.
Wow.
So my father's entire family, with the exception of 3 people, treated me very badly.
Oh my God.
So I was outcast by half my family. My cousins teased me, and I was physically weaker. So I was really angry.
Dang.
And so between my grandmother and then being inspired by my pastor and my uncle, I knew that there was something that I had to do. And so I just, one day at a time, man, I just did the best I could. And I just, you know how you have vision boards and have all these things on it? Well, I had hit lists. They were like, it was like a target list. Okay, I'm going to beat him in racing one day.
Really?
I'm going to beat him in basketball one day.
Really?
I'm just going to beat him.
What? I've never heard of this. This is great.
Dude, I had a hit list for people. I mean,
oh my gosh.
And my friends that, you know how you go to elementary school and you have one set of kids that you're friends with, but then once you get to middle school, all the other kids from other elementary schools you meet, when all my friends met me that came from other schools, they all thought I was a bully. I'm the shortest guy in the class, but he's a bully.
Why is that?
Because I was mean.
Okay, listen, let me just interject here. For the folks who haven't met Jamon, I mean, this guy is the friendliest. I mean, he's just like a teddy bear, all right? Got a smile for everybody, an encouraging word. They thought you were a bully?
Yeah, because I was angry. I was so tired of being picked on. I was so tired of not feeling loved or wanted or respected that it just, instead of making me kind of become shy, I went the other way.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I understand. And that's kind of a scary thing. You know, we're dealing a lot today. We're very sensitive these days to the issue of bullying.
Yes.
Bullying has always been around since time immemorial. However, in this day and age where kids sometimes unfortunately have access to weapons, we're a lot more sensitive to the issue of bullying. And it strikes me that somebody like yourself, with the character that you have and the positive influences that you have, your grandma, your uncle, your pastor, even with all that, because you had this anger inside of you, it sounds like you were on a knife's edge where you could have gone either way. Yes,
very easily. And I think that was a lot of my struggle for my self-identity, my selfhood.
Yeah.
And I can't really explain why I went one way versus going the other way. But what I do know was growing up in my community, and I think my culture played a huge part in it. Growing up in my community, you were either the prey or you were the predator.
Wow.
And I didn't want to be the prey. I seen what happened to the prey. I didn't like that.
Where did you grow up, Jamon?
I grew up in a little small town called Henderson, North Carolina. And if you believe statistics, we're still probably in the top 10 of state in crime to this day. But it's not a bad city. It's a lot of crime because people are poor. There's no money, no industry, no jobs. So you have a lot of like breaking and enterings and maybe domestic violence. But I mean, major crime, it's not that much major crime though.
So tell me, I want to talk a little bit about middle school and high school. When did you first get into sports?
I got into sports, I want to say I was 10. And I was still 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade range. And I saw my older cousin playing football with the high school. He was a freshman. And he wasn't a phenom, but he was well respected because he had a lot of skill. And I just wanted to be him. He was my next role model in life, I guess. So I kind of wanted to be him. And so I begged my mom to let me try for the youth rec department football team.
Okay.
And she did, and that's why I realized I sucked as an athlete.
Yeah. That didn't go the way I expected.
Didn't go the way in my mind, I saw it differently.
You had the hit list. You've been working out.
Yes.
You've been practicing.
Yes, you couldn't tell me I wasn't the man. In my own mind, I was the man.
You were the man.
The coach said, "Hey, son, what position you want to play?" My cousin played running back, so I'm like, I want to be a running back.
Why not?
He said, "Okay, go and get back there. We're going to pitch you the ball. We see what you can do with it."
Okay.
He pitched me the ball, and 2 older guys, I guess they were kind of like the senior on that little rec league team.
Yeah.
they came from both sides and sandwiched me before I can even get out of the backfield.
Oh, they were like, welcome.
Pretty much.
Well,
Pretty much. And when I got up, I said, you know what? I don't think this football thing is for me. They're not supposed to be hitting me at the same time. No. Somebody cheating. Time out, ref.
oh, man. And so, but you didn't quit on sports.
No. Because they kept teasing me. Everybody from the community was on that team.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
all the guys that were on my hit list, they started back up.
Oh, my goodness.
So I had to go back and give me another hit list. So I said, okay, all right, he's good. He's good. He's bigger. Because mind you, I'm only 5'4". Mm-hmm. Still to this day. I haven't grew since I was 12. Mm-hmm. I'm 5'4". I'm not big as anything.
Yeah.
And so my cousin had a little weight set. And I would beg my mom to take me over his house every other weekend. I would lift weights. And I would watch. That's when I started watching more NFL football, more college football. And I saw how much effort these guys were putting into it. And I said, okay, I don't work that hard. Maybe I need to work harder. So I started working harder, and I started channeling my anger into the sport itself. Instead of being a one-on-one, me against him, it's how can I make my team better? What can I do to make this position not only be mine, but also make the guy beside me just as good as I am? So I started studying more. I started getting my mind more involved. Now I'm looking at playbooks. I'm picking the coach's brain. So, coach, if this guy covered me like this, how I get around him and make the tackle? Then they start showing me little moves, and I'm like, okay. So I at an early age, I got real cerebral with understanding the sport of football. And it translated into my 7th grade year. I made the middle school team.
Right now. And
I had the best hit of the year off of an all-state, for a future all-state running back.
Really?
Yeah, and that hit kind of catapulted me into everybody saying, okay, Glover's going to be somebody to watch out for. And so
they weren't teasing you so much at that point.
Yeah, now by that point, I had respect because I earned this guy's respect. Wow. So when I be walking down the street, he'd be like, hey, Glover, come here, man. Then me and we'll go to the store, and he'll hung out with his friends, and I kind of developed a reputation for being an outstanding football player. And so that's how sports kind of helped transform me a little bit.
That's amazing. Now, I know at least one of your sons plays football, and I've heard a lot of your stories, but I actually see you more as a wrestler because I heard your wrestling story first. How did you go from football to wrestling?
Ooh, that is a long story. So I'm gonna have to shorten that up a little bit. My cousin, the one that played football, he also wrestled, and he told me you need to wrestle so you learn how to handle yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, that's probably a good idea. So, but I still didn't take it serious. I started wrestling maybe the end of my sophomore year in high school. I think I wrestled for the last 5 matches. And because I had started lifting weights early, I was stronger than the guys I was wrestling. Okay. So I could kind of grab them and kind of throw them around. But I didn't win a match because if you wrestle, after about 2-3 minutes, your strength is gone if all you're doing is muscling people. And so, but, it was just something to do. I learned how to take people down, but that was about it.
Okay.
So then my junior year, we went deep into the playoffs in football. So when I came out for wrestling, it was already mid-December. And so I think I might have wrestled 20 matches that year. And I was like 10 and 10. I was about 500 that year. But still, it was nothing serious. I wrestled enough to get invited to the regionals. And so, but I didn't want to go because I was trying to work anyway. So I'm like, whatever. And it wasn't until my senior year, my mom was diagnosed with cancer my senior year. And my coach told me either I could play football or I could work, but I couldn't do both. And he didn't care what the reason was. And so by that time I was like, whatever, dude. I played 3 games and was like done my senior year. Football, sport that I loved.
So let me clarify that because this sounds like a really important turning point in your story, Jamon. So your mom had this very unfortunate diagnosis senior year.
Yes.
Up until that point, you'd been playing football.
Yes.
And it sounds like you also added wrestling to the mix.
Yes.
So you were doing 2 sports.
That's correct.
And you were working. Where were you working?
I was working at a country club.
Okay. Okay. So you had a job.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. And so beginning of the season, the coach now insists that I guess he felt the job was taking your focus and your time away from football.
Yes, he was a new coach. He came in my junior year, and we won conference and went deep in the playoffs that year.
Okay.
And so he wanted – I was team captain.
Oh, okay.
So he said, okay, you're the captain of this team. You need to be here. I was like, Coach, I got to work. I was only leaving I would leave Mondays about maybe 30 minutes early, and I would leave on Wednesday about 30 minutes early. And so to him, that was huge. My teammates, all my teammates knew what was going on, and they were cool with it. But Coach was kind of like my way or the highway.
Why was the job, if I may ask, why was the job so important to you at that moment in your life?
Because my mom was a hairstylist, and she had a shop, and she had worked probably about 8 years trying to build the shop. And so when she was diagnosed with cancer, then she started going through the chemo and radiation, she couldn't go in the shop. Mm-hmm. So I had a little car note that I was paying. Well, not a car note. I had a car that I was fixing because it was a little beater, man. That car was, I get it fixed 1 week, it'll run, then next payday it'll break down again. So
just in time for payday.
And so by being my senior year, I took a work study job, and I had 2 jobs. And I took one job and I kept my car running. The other job, I paid my mom's her rent and her utility bills at her beauty salon. Cause
this is as a high school senior.
Yes.
You're paying mom's rent.
Yes.
And paying for a car.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. And so after that, he told me that, he said, you need to let Friday be your last game. And of course I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken because it was like the previous game, I had 48 solo tackles in the previous game.
What?
I had 23 at halftime.
Okay. So I don't watch football that much, but that sounds like a lot.
It is a lot. You know how the saying when they say the game slows down?
Yeah.
The game has slowed down so much for me that from the moment the ball was snapped, it was like I had tunnel vision on the ball.
Wow.
Whether it was a misdirection, whether it was a pass, I was a ball hawk. I could find the ball anywhere. And so when that ended, I had nothing but time, outside of work anyway, to put into wrestling. And so I became a wrestler, and I really became a wrestler. My record, my senior year, end of the year, I was 42-5.
Whoa!
I won a regional championship, conference championship, and I didn't do too good in the States.
Well, what happened to 10-10? What happened to that guy?
That guy was a football player.
Wow, 42-5, and you got to the state?
Yep. Got to the States. And this is that thing where, because I have been picked on so much, now I'm being celebrated.
Yeah. And
so when I get to States, I see thousands upon thousands of people, hundreds of wrestlers, and now I feel small. I don't feel like I'm that guy anymore because I don't have that chip anymore.
Wow.
I have nothing it's like I have everything to fight for, but internally, I kind of feel like I'm not worthy. I'm not supposed to be here.
Wow.
And so I lost two straight matches in States and washed out. And
was this to a guy that was like national level or something?
Man, the 2 guys that I lost to couldn't have beat me in practice with one arm. Not to take anything away from them, but that's how bad of wrestlers they were. I basically beat myself. I pinned myself wrestling them.
Wow.
Doing stuff. The coach looked like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know."
Tag, coach, tag me
I
out.
said, oh no. He looked at me like, what? He said, what is wrong with you? I said, coach, I can't get out my own head, coach. I don't know. And he was like, is the moment too big for you? I said, coach, maybe. I don't know. Cause I remember the year before I turned down going to regionals. So I had never seen this before. So it was too many people, it was too many lights. And I was like, oh my God, I feel horrible right now. And it was so crazy for me. But that moment, I think, was my biggest defining moment of my life, because I realized you got to believe you're good enough to be somewhere. You got to understand that you are enough. What you did to get you to a place is all you need to keep you going. Especially if you had to work and struggle. That's when that faith come in. You got to believe that I'm here for a reason. I'm good enough, regardless of who says what. I am good enough, and I can do it. And at that time, I didn't have that faith in myself, because I always had a cause pushing me to do something. I was trying to prove somebody wrong. Mm-hmm. But at that level, everybody was, they was patting me on the back and bandwagoning me.
Wow. And that was the last thing you needed
at that moment. Yeah. At that moment. Yeah. Cause my mom, she was in remission, and I mean, everything was going well, Yeah. And so all the energy that I was using, I didn't have it. I didn't know how to just grab it from within and just say, you don't need external motivation anymore. You're capable. Man, that was a long story, man. I'm sorry.
No, that was right. That was right on the money. That was right on time. I mean, a lot of stuff that I really didn't know about you. How did that moment, Jamon, kind of inform who you are as a parent today?
Well, my father has always been a part of my life. We've lived in the same household up until I left going to the military. Mm-hmm. But my father wasn't necessarily the best father. He didn't have a really great father because he was away from his father. And so when you don't know how to do something, you kind of just fiddle around with it and do the best you can. And so between all those things that we talked about earlier that happened in my childhood up until my state championship run, my father, he would come to the football stuff. Mm-hmm. But once I didn't finish football, he was disappointed.
Really?
And so he never came to anything wrestling. He never supported anything, because he was heartbroken because his son was in the paper. His son had notoriety, which gave him more notoriety. And then, in honest, I didn't tell him that the coach gave me that ultimatum. So he thought I just quit. Yeah. Because I didn't want him going up to school and there being an issue with the coach and him. And so I just kind of just let it be. And so as a parent, I have made the promise that I'll never push my kids to do anything they don't want to do athletically. If they want it, then I'll support them as best as I can. And if I can't, I'll get them the external help that they need. And so, funny story. Well, it ain't a funny story. It's a tragic story. But it's kind of one that changed me. When my son was 3 years old, my oldest son, I went to get him from my neighbor as I had just gotten off work. Yeah. And I knock on the door and he sees me and he instantly starts crying. And he's, I don't want to go. A lot of kids say they don't want to go if they're having fun. Yeah. But he took it a step further and he says, I don't want you to be my daddy. I want him to be my daddy.
Oh, awkward.
No, not awkward. Oh, not awkward at all. All the rage that came in.
Oh my God.
The look I gave my neighbor, and he instantly said, no, hey, I don't know. They just playing. I ain't did anything.
Oh my God.
He could see the rage in my eyes.
Wow.
And so I grabbed my son and I went home and I slammed my door but I could be mad, but only to an extent. because it was at that moment that I realized the reason he wanted to be that guy's kid is because that kid spent time with his kids. He played with them. He hugged them and kissed them and told them that he loved them. Wow. I was my father's kid. Hey, clean your room, do this, do that. I barked orders. I was a dictator. And nobody loves a dictator. And that's what I was. And from that point on, I went on another journey of trying to figure out how to be a good parent. Just being there doesn't make you a good parent. You got to have that relationship, that communication, that support system. And I was trying to do everything on the island. I was trying to just me, my family. We don't need nobody else. Yeah, that don't work. That didn't work. And so today, my son comes to me for everything. My daughters come to me for everything. Like, just had a birthday, and some of the cards I got, man, I brought tears to my eyes. I'm like, wow, they saying this about me? It's amazing. And I also do parent education. It's kind of like my way of giving back for fathers. And man, it's been an awesome journey, man. Awesome journey.
You know who we need to give back to? We need to give back to that dad. 18 years ago. We need to send him a Christmas card or something.
You know what?
Send him a fruitcake. Something.
Yeah, you might be right. I think I'm have to do something because, whether he realized it or not, his example to my son taught me a lot.
That is amazing, though. I mean, that's really profound. We're talking, in this random guy's case, not only the impact that a parent can have on their own kids,
yes,
but the impact that they can have on their kids' friends and their kids' friends' families.
That is correct. That is correct. That is correct. And I wasn't much of a reader back then, so I wouldn't go into the bookstores looking for books. But what I would do is I'd ask myself, who are the good fathers that I know? And so I would go to them and ask them questions. Hey, man, when your kids do this, what do you do? Well, when you spend time with your kids, what do you do? Because I work 2 jobs. I ain't got a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
And this is one of my older friends. He said, man, kids don't need all day. He said they need 5-10 minutes of you throwing the ball with them, asking them about their day, making sure they're okay, or just letting them talk. That's all they need. They don't need 8 hours. Give them a little time every day and just watch what happens. Profound. And I was like, really? That's it? It can't be that simple. It can't be that simple. No, because if it was that simple, I'd have figured it out. Mm-hmm. But no, it was that simple. Man. It was that simple.
Man, that's good stuff. That is good stuff right there. That reminds me of what you did the first time your mom took you out to play football, and it didn't go so well. No. You started asking questions.
Yep.
You started asking questions.
Yep. I'm a question asker. My mom calls me a rebel. You're so rebellious. You don't take nobody's word at face value. Nah, you got to show me. If you believe in it, show me why it worked.
Uh-huh.
And if I got a question, okay, I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to know, if you don't want me to ask no questions, you better keep it away from me. And if you don't want the truth, don't ask.
This is amazing. Folks, we've been listening to Jamon Glover. He's been talking about adversity, grandmas, butterflies, storms, football, overcoming birth defects. I mean, this is an amazing, amazing story. We don't have all day to hang out with Jamon, so we got to let him go. But before we let you go, Jamon, we got a little bit more adversity to throw your way. We're going to put you through the lightning round.
Okay.
You ready for the lightning round, Jamon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't know if you're going to make it out, but we'll see. All right, we're going back to your childhood, Jamon. We're going to ask you questions. You got to answer them as quickly as you can. First and foremost, who was your favorite superhero growing up?
My favorite superhero would be Superman.
Superman.
Yes.
Iconic. I can see it. What about your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show was The Cosby Show.
Oh, You're breaking my heart right there, man. That was my show as well. We're not even going. We're not going to go into that.
No, that's not.
You hurt me right
I
there.
know.
All right. Favorite family tradition growing up?
Family tradition would be going fishing.
Going fishing. Who'd you go fishing with?
My dad and his friends.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's something I haven't taken up yet.
Oh man, you're missing out.
I feel like I am. I want to be able to take my boys fishing. I really do.
Hey, let me know.
Okay, y'all heard it here, man.
Let me know.
Y'all heard it here. What was an embarrassing moment for you as a child? You've actually shared a couple of really good ones with us. But do you have one more embarrassing moment that you can share with us?
Yes, I was in 6th grade and I wrote, "Do you like me? Check yes or no."
Oh, this is going to hurt.
And she checked no. And the teacher read it in front of the class.
Oh, snap!
Yes, that was my most embarrassing.
Oh, Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Hall of Fame right
yeah.
there. You're a strong man. You're a stronger man than me, man.
lot of experience.
You've given us a really good example of fear holding you back, the wrestling story, and how you basically pinned yourself. So let me ask that question a slightly different way, Jamon. Can you maybe think of an example with your kids where you've seen fear hold one of your kids back? And if you can think of such an example, how did your kid handle it? How did you and your wife coach your kids through it? How do you help kids overcome fear?
My son, his freshman year playing football, he's a sophomore now, but so last year, his freshman year playing football, he was called up from JV to be on varsity for a game.
Uh-oh.
And the coach needed somebody to go in. And he was looking. My son was standing right there, but he didn't say a peep. Didn't say one word.
So the coach called.
Yes. I need somebody to come in. I need somebody to come in. And my son standing there looking like,
I mean, this was his
This
shot.
was his shot, yes. And he didn't go. And then after the game, he was complaining about, man, coach didn't put me in.
He did not do that.
Not realizing that I was on the sideline as well.
He did not.
Yes, he did. So I said, when the coach asked for somebody to go in, why didn't you raise your hand? Why didn't you draw on the field? Why didn't you do something? He couldn't give me an answer. I said, so tell the truth, you were scared, right? No, I wasn't scared. So why you didn't go in? I mean, I don't know. So I'm not sure you've seen the movie 8 Mile with Eminem.
Yeah, Eminem.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have the DVD, one of my favorite movies of all time. I put the DVD in. I didn't say another word to him. I put the DVD in and said, we should watch a movie. And when he would get on stage and he would choke. He
threw up before every performance, right?
Yes. But then when it came time to the rap battles, he would choke. He wouldn't say it. He couldn't get it out.
Yes.
And I stopped the DVD. I said, why couldn't he get it out? Because he was scared. I said, just like you on that field. I said, what happens if you just go out there? That's how you learn. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to always get it right. You're going to lose sometime. But if you never take the effort to do it, you're never going to know. Fear isn't real. Fear is something in your mind that you think might happen. Danger? Yeah, okay. Something dangerous? Okay, yeah, you're supposed to have a little fear. It's our natural instincts. But something, you're afraid of something that you've never experienced, that's not logical. Just go ahead and do it. You don't know until you try. And so I've been kind of beating that message into him. And now he's coming into his own now. I'm very proud of him.
That story is so powerful. You have no idea. I mean, as a dad, I've had the opportunity to coach my older son at soccer. And we parents, we don't like to see our kids struggle.
No. No.
We want them to go out there and just, be the best, be naturally talented,
Yes.
right? Gifted. We like that word.
Yes.
We like the word talented or gifted, where, he's just born good.
Yep.
She's just born world class.
Yep.
And sometimes we forget that the things that we're good at are things we struggled at and worked at.
That's true.
To get good. If your son didn't have that moment, he might have ended up being mediocre, above average.
Yeah.
Maybe good, But with that moment, he's going to be 30 years old, 40 years old. And I bet you, Jamon, that he remembers that moment.
Yep. He's at the place right now where he's starting to become a leader on the field. Mm-hmm. And I can hear my words coming back to players on the field sometimes. And I can't tell you how proud. I said, he's actually listening to me.
Kids aren't supposed to
They're not supposed to do that. He's actually listening.
Not teenagers, no.
So when I thought he was on his phone rolling his eyes at me, ignoring me, he was actually listening. Okay. So maybe I stopped talking so much because he does hear me. Okay.
I love it. Jamon, we got one more question to ask you, and this one is a big one.
Okay.
So, Jamon, we're going to have you leave your kids a love time capsule. You know how sometimes some schools, they may have a project where they want to bury a little time capsule in the ground, and so they'll put stuff in there, and they'll bury it in the ground, and they'll say, we're not going to dig this up for 20 years, for 30 years. We're going to create an audio version of that for your kids right now. So I want you to pretend we're 30 years in the future, so it's 2045, going into 2046. Kids are grown, got their own kids. You're a proud grandpa. Everybody's happily married, doing well, good jobs, well-adjusted. They're going to listen to this audio on, what's today, December 14th, 2045. They're going to hear your voice, and you'll be talking to them. Jamon, I want you to talk to your kids right now and tell them why you did the things you did as a dad. Why sometimes you were hard on them and other times you hugged them. Why you pushed them to accomplish and to achieve. Tell them why you love them so much. I want you to talk to your kids right now.
Hey, kids. This is Pops. This is Daddy. This is the big homie. And I just want to let you know that I have always loved you guys. I understand now how when the Bible says that, God first loved us before we did anything, it's because we were products of him, just like you're products of me. Everything that I didn't get and I wanted to have, I wanted the best for you. Every mindset and attitude that I developed, I want you to have that. Everything that I am, I want you to be and more. My ultimate goal is for you guys to be 20 times, 40 times, 100 times better than me. I know I've made my mistakes, but you know my heart, and you know that I've always wanted the best for you guys. And I want to leave you with this. You are good enough. The person that you are, the people that you have grown into are good enough. You're worthy of every goal that you set for yourself. You can do it. Just believe in you, believe in your abilities, and believe that God birthed you for a reason, because I do. Daddy loves you. Take care.
And the people said amen.
Amen.
Jamon Glover is an aspiring speaker. I think we need to take the aspiring part out. Jamon Glover is a good speaker, a good husband, and a father of 4. He believes that everyone has something great to give, and he wants to help people realize their potential. Jamon, where can folks go to follow your continuing story?
People can go to jamonglover.com, and I'll spell it out for you. That's jamonglover.com. Also, Facebook, Instagram, Jamon Glover.
I need a cool way to spell my name like that. That was pretty cool. It's Jamon G Lover, JamonGlover.com. Folks, you've been listening to the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Happy holidays. This has been a fun one. Rewind this one. Play it for your kids. This has been a pleasure. Jamon, thank you.
Thank you, Balaji.
All right, folks. Until tomorrow, same time, same place. Up, up, and away.
Thanks for supporting my dad's show. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to iTunes. He said hot chocolate is for closers. If you don't subscribe, I don't get hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate.
Fear not. Although this chapter of Bravepreneur Parents Academy has come to its conclusion, we have many more adventures for you and your brave little heroes. Head over to bravequest.me for access to the Brave Quest Journal, an interactive activity playbook that rewards your little ones with points for accomplishing tasks that build character and unleash your child's inner superhero all before bedtime. We look forward to having you join us for more adventures next time on Bravepreneur Parents Academy.